coffee stain wouldn't come out. Maya Torres had been scrubbing the same spot on her apron for 3 minutes when the envelope arrived. White, expensive paper, the kind that announces bad news in a pretty package. Her co-worker, Jess, slid it across the counter. "Someone left this for you." Maya's fingers trembled as she opened it. "James Caldwell and Victoria Ashford invite you to witness their union at the Plaza Hotel, New York City. Saturday, 7 p.m. She read it twice, 3 times. The words didn't change. James, the man who promised her forever in a hospital waiting room, then vanished before the anesthesia wore off. The man who loved her when she was Maya Torres, principal dancer with the New York City Ballet, who disappeared when she became Maya Torres, damaged goods with a shattered knee and no career. He was marrying Victoria Ashford, hotel heiress, old money. Of course he was. Maya crumpled the invitation, then smoothed it out again. Her hands were shaking. That night in their cramped Brooklyn apartment, she showed it to her roommate, Sophie. "Burn it," Sophie said immediately. "I can't." "Then go, show him you survived." Maya laughed, bitter. "I'm not the girl he remembers. That girl had a future." "That girl had hope," Sophie corrected. "You still have that. You just forgot." "I can't go alone." "So don't." Maya stared at the ceiling. "Right. I'll just manifest a boyfriend out of thin air." Sophie smiled. Stranger things have happened. The Plaza Hotel dripped wealth. Marble floors reflected chandelier light like scattered diamonds. Maya's second-hand dress suddenly felt paper-thin. She shouldn't have come. This was a mistake. She turned to leave and collided with a wall, except the wall was wearing Tom Ford and had a jawline that could cut glass. "I'm sorry I wasn't," she started. He steadied her with one hand. "You're fine." She looked up, way up. 6'3" at least, dark hair, gray eyes that seemed to catalog everything in a single glance. She knew him. Not personally, but everyone in Manhattan knew Ethan Cross, self-made tech billionaire, 29 years old, built his company from a dorm room at Columbia, cold, brilliant, untouchable. She'd delivered coffee to his building once, the Cross Tower, 60 stories of steel and ambition. "You work at Beanstalk," he said, not a question. "I do. Yes. I mean—" Heat flooded her cheeks. "Sorry, I'm just lost." He nodded once, already moving past her. But something inside Maya cracked. The humiliation of being here, of being discarded, of standing alone in a room full of people who would remember her as the dancer who fell. "Wait." He stopped. The words came out broken. "Pretend you're mine. Please. Just for tonight." Silence stretched between them. His expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. Recognition, maybe. Or pity. Then he extended his arm. "Let's go." The ballroom fell quiet when they entered. Not silent, but the kind of quiet that happens when everyone is suddenly whispering at once. Maya Torres, with Ethan Cross. "I thought she—" "Isn't that—" Ethan's hand found the small of her back. His touch was light but steady. "Breathe." "Everyone's staring." "Let them." A voice cut through the music. Smooth, familiar, poisonous. "Maya. Wow." "I didn't think you'd actually come." James stood there in his perfect tuxedo with his perfect hair and his perfect new bride. Victoria looked Maya up and down like she was inspecting produce. "She came with me," Ethan said quietly. James's smile faltered. "Ethan Cross, didn't expect to see you here." "Life is full of surprises." Victoria leaned in, her voice saccharine. "It's so brave of you to come, Maya. After everything." Her eyes dropped to Maya's knee. "How is the recovery going?" The words landed like a slap. Maya felt her throat close. "She's perfect," Ethan said. Then, without warning, he cupped her face and kissed her. The room gasped. His lips were warm, firm, not gentle, not rough, just real. His hand slid to her waist, pulling her closer, and for a second Maya forgot where she was, forgot James, forgot everyone watching. When he pulled back, his eyes held hers. "Don't look at them. Look at me." She did. James cleared his throat. "That's quite a display." Ethan turned to him slowly. "My fiancé doesn't need your commentary." Fiancé. The word detonated through the crowd. Victoria blinked. "You're engaged?" 6 months now," Ethan said smoothly. He looked at Maya. "Right, sweetheart?" Maya's heart was hammering so hard she thought everyone could hear it. "Yes, 6 months." James looked like he'd been punched. "Congratulations. That's unexpected." "So was your wedding invitation," Maya said softly. A waiter interrupted to guide the bride and groom toward the dance floor. The crowd shifted, attention fragmenting. But the damage was done. The gossip had started. Maya pulled Ethan aside, voice barely above a whisper. "Why did you do that?" "Because he's a coward who doesn't deserve to make you feel small. You don't even know me." His jaw tightened. "I know enough." She wanted to ask what he meant, but the orchestra started playing and James was spinning Victoria across the floor, and all Maya could think was how strange it was to be standing next to someone who felt safer than anyone she'd ever known, even though she'd spoken to him exactly twice. Ethan's car was silent except for the hum of the engine. Maya had fallen asleep in the passenger seat, her head tilted against the window, her breathing soft and even. He glanced at her. Even exhausted, even broken, she was still beautiful. He pulled into the underground parking of his penthouse in Tribeca and killed the engine. She didn't stir. He should wake her. Instead, he opened the glove compartment and pulled out a small wooden box. Inside, wrapped in tissue paper, was a ballet shoe. Pink satin, frayed at the edges, the ribbon faded from years. He'd carried it with him through college, through late nights coding, through boardrooms and buyouts. He was 14 when she walked into the group home in the Bronx. Golden hair in a messy bun, worn-out sneakers, a duffel bag full of ballet clothes. She was 18, maybe 19, a volunteer from the ballet company. She taught them movement, showed them how their bodies could be more than weapons or shields, how they could be grace. Most of the kids laughed. Ethan watched. On her last day, she pulled him aside. "I won't be coming back," she said, "but I want you to have this." She handed him the ballet shoe. He stared at it. "It's old," she said. "I don't need it anymore, but maybe you do." "Why?" Her eyes were so kind it hurt. "Because one day you're going to get out of here. And when you do, you'll need to remember that someone believed in you. Promise me something." "What?" "If you make it, if you build something real, help someone the way I'm trying to help you, okay?" He nodded. She hugged him once, brief, warm. Then she was gone. He never saw her again, but he never forgot. He built his empire on code and ambition, but the foundation was a promise to a girl who showed kindness to a kid no one wanted. And now, she was here, asleep in his car, broken and unaware that the boy she saved had become the man beside her. Ethan reached out and gently tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. His fingers lingered. "You saved me first," he murmured. "Now it's my turn." Over the next 2 weeks, Maya found herself swept into Ethan's world. Charity dinners, gallery openings, a tech summit where billionaires spoke in acronyms and everyone knew his name. He played the part perfectly, introduced her as his fiancée, kept his hand on her back in crowded rooms, remembered how she took her coffee, black, 2 sugars. But it was the small things that undid her. At a rooftop fundraiser, she mentioned being cold. Before she finished the sentence, his jacket was around her shoulders. At a restaurant, the waiter asked about wine. Ethan answered without looking at the menu. "She doesn't drink red. White, dry, something light." She stared at him. How did you know that? He shrugged. You mentioned it once. I've never mentioned that to you. He paused. Must have been someone else. But it wasn't. And she knew it. Another night after a long day, she collapsed on his couch. Her head was pounding, her vision blurred. You okay? He asked, appearing from nowhere. Just tired. He touched her forehead. You're burning up. I'm fine. You're not. 20 minutes later, he returned with soup, not takeout, homemade. She blinked at the bowl in his hands. You made this? YouTube, he said. Sit up. She tried to hold the spoon, but her hands shook. He took it from her gently and fed her. Spoonfuls of warmth and care she didn't know how to accept. He stayed all night, checking her temperature, bringing water, sitting in the chair beside her bed like a sentry. When dawn came, she opened her eyes and found him asleep in the chair, still dressed, his head tilted back. No one had ever stayed before. 3 days later, Maya wandered into Ethan's office. He was on a call, pacing by the window, his voice sharp with authority. He held up one finger. 1 minute. She nodded and looked around. The office was sleek, minimal, expensive art on the walls. But on the shelf behind his desk, something caught her eye. A photo frame. Old. Silver. She moved closer. The photo was faded, slightly yellowed. A young woman in a leotard stood in the center of a group of kids. She was mid-spin, arms extended, hair flying. The kids around her were clapping, laughing. The setting was unmistakable. A gymnasium with cracked floors, peeling paint, a makeshift bar on the wall. Maya's breath caught. It was her. Younger, lighter, full of dreams. She'd volunteered at group homes for 2 years before the accident. She'd almost forgotten. But Ethan hadn't. She turned. He was standing in the doorway, phone call finished, watching her. This is me, she said softly. I know. How do you have this? He stepped into the room. Someone took it. I kept it. Why? His voice was low. Because the girl in that photo changed my life. Her heart pounded. Ethan, you don't remember me, he said, and I don't expect you to, but I remember you. She opened her mouth to ask more, but he shook his head. Not yet. That night, Ethan gave her a box, small, wrapped simply. What's this? Open it. Inside were ballet shoes, custom, professional, her size. Her hands trembled. Ethan, I can't. You can. My knee. Your knee healed wrong because you gave up, not because you were broken. Tears spilled over. I don't dance anymore. He stepped closer. Then don't dance. Just remember what it felt like to fly. She broke, sobbing into her hands. He pulled her into his arms and held her while she cried for the girl she used to be and the boy he must have been. The night started perfect. Dinner at a Michelin star restaurant. Ethan's hand in hers across the table. The first real kiss they'd shared since the wedding. Not for show, just for them. They left at midnight, the city glowing around them, rain starting to fall. Then the flash, blinding white light from the side. Paparazzi. Damn it, Ethan muttered, accelerating slightly. A black van swerved in behind them. Close. Too close. Why are they? Another flash. The van clipped their bumper. Ethan cursed and swerved. Tires screamed. The world tilted. Metal crunching. Glass shattering. The sickening crunch of impact. Then nothing. When Maya opened her eyes, the world was white, sterile, beeping. A hospital room. She blinked slowly, her head pounding. Every muscle ached. She tried to sit up and gasped. A hand caught her shoulder, gentle, steady. Don't move. She turned. A man sat beside her bed, tall, dark hair, gray eyes full of something she couldn't name. Who are you? She whispered. His face went pale. Maya, I don't... Her voice cracked. I don't know you. He didn't speak, just stared at her like she'd driven a knife through his chest. "Did you find me?" she asked. "After the accident?" He nodded slowly. "Yes, I was with you. Thank you." She looked away. "I'm sorry, I don't remember anything." "I know," he said quietly. "The doctor said you might not." She closed her eyes, exhausted. When she opened them again, he was gone. Ethan stood outside her room, his back against the wall, his hands shaking. She didn't remember. 2 weeks. 2 weeks of falling in love with a woman who'd already saved him once. And now she was gone. Not dead. Worse. Erased. He looked down at his phone, a text from his assistant. Board meeting in an hour. He didn't respond. Instead, he walked to the hospital chapel. Empty. Quiet. He sat in the last pew and put his head in his hands. "I kept my promise," he whispered to no one. "I built something. I helped people. I found you again." His voice broke. "And you don't even know who I am." 5 days passed. Maya improved. Physical therapy, cognitive tests, everything checked out except the missing month. Ethan visited every day, never stayed long, brought flowers, asked how she felt, left before she could ask questions. On the 6th day, she found something on her bedside table, a small wooden box. She opened it. Inside was a ballet shoe, old, frayed, the satin dull with age. She picked it up carefully, turning it over in her hands. Something about it felt important, familiar, like a word on the tip of her tongue. That night she dreamed. A gymnasium, cracked floors, kids in mismatched clothes, and her, younger, spinning in the center. A boy in the corner, skinny, quiet. Dark eyes watching her like she was the only light in the room. She walked to him, held out the shoe. "If you ever make it out, promise me you'll help someone." His voice, small and broken. "I promise." Maya woke gasping. The shoe was still in her hands. She threw off the blanket and ran. It was raining when she reached Ethan's building. The doorman tried to stop her, but she pushed past, barefoot. Hospital gown flapping. She took the elevator to the penthouse, pounded on the door. Ethan opened it, eyes wide. "Maya, what?" "The boy," she gasped. "The group home, the Bronx. That was you." He didn't answer, but his expression told her everything. "You kept the shoe," she whispered. "I kept everything." "Why didn't you tell me?" His jaw clenched. "Because I didn't want you to feel obligated. I didn't save you for payback. I saved you because it was you." Tears streamed down her face. I remember giving it to you. I remember your eyes. You looked at me like you were the only person who'd ever seen me," he finished. She stepped forward, closing the distance between them. "I see you now." He cupped her face, thumbs brushing away tears. "I've loved you since I was 14 years old. I didn't plan this." "Didn't manipulate it. But when you asked me to pretend, I couldn't say no. Because pretending to love you was easier than admitting I already did." She kissed him. Hard, desperate, real. When they broke apart, she was laughing through tears. "You built an empire just to keep a promise to a girl you met once?" "I built an empire because you made me believe I was worth something." She pressed her forehead to his. "I'm sorry I forgot." "Don't be. You remembered what mattered." 6 months later, the old community center in the Bronx had a new sign. The Torres Cross Foundation for Arts and Youth. Inside, the walls were painted bright colors, new floors, a real dance studio, music rooms, art supplies, everything the kids needed. Maya taught ballet twice a week. Her knee still ached sometimes, but she didn't care. She wasn't performing for crowds. She was performing for kids who needed to see that broken things could still be beautiful. Ethan funded it all, quietly. No press releases, no ego, just a promise kept. One afternoon, a photographer came by, captured a moment. Maya sitting beside Ethan, her head on his shoulder, the old ballet shoe in her lap. The photo hangs in the entrance now. Beneath it, a plaque. Pretend you're mine. No, you always were. At their wedding, small, intimate, just 50 people, Maya wore the new ballet shoes Ethan had given her. Something old, something new, something borrowed from a boy who became a man who became her home. During their vows, she looked at him and said, "You kept your promise, and I'll spend the rest of my life keeping mine." "What promise?" he asked softly. "To keep believing in boys who need someone to see them, and men who never stopped seeing me." He kissed her before the officiant could object. The kids from the center cheered, and for the first time in years, Maya felt like she was flying. Not on a stage, not for applause, but in the arms of someone who'd held her gift for 15 years and turned it into a lifetime.